technology, blocks, bites, grilling. Welcome to Blocks and Bites.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Blocks and Bites, the grilling and technology show. I have one of my coworkers here with me today. Well, not here with me, but over the internet, the interwebs, the tubes, series of tubes and tunnels. Scott, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Paul. Glad to be here. I'm calling in from St. Louis, Missouri, home of the St. Louis pork steak. Paul and I work together at SHI, and we're here today to talk about technology and how it might relate to grilling and grill up some St. Louis pork steaks. It's kind of a unique thing to St. Louis area, and hope you enjoy the show.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So first of all, let's start with that cut of meat, because when I called my butcher, they were a little confused. So why don't you give us a little quick history on what the St. Louis pork steak is?
Well, the St. Louis pork steak is really a pork butt or pork shoulder sliced into steaks. It originated here in St. Louis in the 50s, and it's really seen all throughout this region. But as soon as you get outside of this Midwestern region, it's not nearly as common. And again, you might confound a butcher or two. But these babies are really awesome when you grill them up. And today I've seasoned mine with a local favorite seasoning called Nick's. We have Navasic Meat Company here in St. Louis. Has been around for many years, more than a couple of generations. And Nick's makes a seasoning that we use. So it's a St. Louis specialty too. But here is the pork steak, as you guys can all see. I'm gonna throw it in on this hot grill right here.
All right. Well, while you do that, why don't you tell us about your grill? What are you using today to cook that delicious steak?
Well, I am a proud owner of the Big Green Egg. It is a ceramic cooker, and it's a high-end product. You pay a little extra for it, but it'll last you a lifetime. Ceramic never wears out, and it has awesome controls to keep your temperature of your grill exactly where you set it. It's kind of the Ron Popeil of grills in that respect. You set it and forget it, and it just goes on its way doing its thing. It has vents in the bottom and vents in the top that allow the airflow to be really precise. And you can set it and get exactly the temperature you're looking for. Let's see.
Excellent.
There's the inside of the grill.
So my viewers who have tuned into the first episode know that I rock the old school kettle grill, the trusty Weber. I'm a big fan of charcoal. With pork steak, I didn't do any kind of wood, any fruit wood that I would normally do with like a pork shoulder or a butt to smoke it. So we're just doing briquettes. Are you doing anything outside of like what there?
Well, the Big Green Egg recommends lump charcoal. So it's not a briquette, it's a hard wood charcoal. They have their own that they sell. Royal Oak is kind of the common one in most stores that you would find. I find that one's a little softer and a little smaller than I would like. So I typically pick a different brand.
Gotcha. Yeah, previously on another episode, I was actually using a mixture of lump and briquettes just to mix it up a little bit. But my smoker over here, when I do like a roast or I do something like a long slow smoke, I'll use the lump to help maintain that temperature for over a period of time.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what the egg is about. It's awesome for grilling steaks because you can get a really high temperature by opening up all the vents and allowing the air to rush through and raise your grill temp to 500 to 700 degrees, and that'll give you a quick sear on a steak and cook the outside real nice and crispy while keeping the inside nice and moist and even medium rare. With the pork steak, I like to keep it a little lower, somewhere in that 350 to 450 kind of range. It isn't really a low and slow kind of cook, but I don't want it to cook so fast that it still stays rare in the middle. So I want it to cook a little slower, but still get all the way completely done.
Gotcha. Yeah. So mine, we discussed, in our pre-recording call, mine are actually a little bit thinner cut than yours. So I'm going to wait a little bit before I put them on. But I used actually a blend of my own seasonings. nothing from a store or anything. This time I just blended up some different spices, some garlic, some salt, sugar, some chili powder, a few other things just to kind of give it a little flavor, but mostly just let's let it cook and see how this goes. We also discussed it's Friday night when we're recording this. It's been a long work week. I was rocking a vodka lemonade as we had discussed. I was hoping to keep a very continuous St. Louis theme, but it's not really a cocktail city. There's a very large brewery that we're all very well aware of out that way. So how about you? What are you sipping on tonight?
Well, today I have an all-day IPA from Founders, and that's actually closer to you than it is to me.
Yeah.
Founders is a great brewery, and I really enjoy their beers. Nothing wrong with the large brewery you were talking about. In fact, I spent about 20 years working there, so I know a little bit about the large brewery in St. Louis.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking about the food and the grilling here, but let's dive into the technology. You came up with the idea for the show as we were brainstorming, and I like this a lot. You came up with the idea of like the technology that's actually involved with grilling. So what do you got lined up for us today? What would you like to discuss?
I have two things that I would like to talk about, and one is first my remote probe. I have basically a probe that's inside the egg right now. If you see this blue little probe that comes right out of the egg, that tells me the temperature. And this particular device is actually a radio transmitting temperature, so it'll send the temperature to a receiver. So I got a transmitter and receiver, but unfortunately, of course, this is how all technology things work. Not exactly as you plan. I dropped it on the ground earlier, so I had to go fetch it. But it does give you a chance to see how this device works, as far as it's just a small device that has 4 different probe entries, right? Now, did I break it when I dropped it? Let's hope not.
Oh no.
It could happen. I don't think so, though. It's got this nice, oh, here it comes. It's turning on now. And
okay.
Right now, it's got the grill a little bit lower than I wanted it to be. So it's at 279. So I'm going to open up this bottom vent a little, let a little more air come through. And I think the wheel actually looks good, which that's the top that allows a little more air to flow through. So it'll raise the temperature here in just a little bit. Right now it's at 280 and going up. And I have a remote device that, go all the way any place in the house. So I can actually monitor the temperature, and it'll alert whenever the meat gets to the right temperature, or if the cooking surface gets outside of the temperature you want. So right now inside the egg dome, we're at about 280, which is perfectly fine. And there's the screen for the device that reports whether your temperature is inside or outside of the range, or if it's hits the right temperature for ground beef or poultry or whatever. So it has a lot of different options on it. And this is an Inzoo, E-N-Z-O-O, and I've been real happy with it. It's not very expensive. I picked it up on Amazon, but it was a lot of fun to work with and just, measure your cooking temperatures, both inside of your grill or in your oven, and of course the temperature of the meat as well. Now, the other thing that I've been wanting to talk to you about is this bad boy. This is a Raspberry Pi with all of the accoutrements and boards. This one comes from, it's a Canna kit, and the Canna kit has the ability to expand your Raspberry Pi to do more controls. So the first part that I want to do is actually attach a fan to my lower vent and a louver so that I can control the temperature even when I'm not next to my egg. So I can be in the house and open up the louver a little bit more or close it up to make sure that I get the temperature that I want. And you can see the smoke coming out of the egg a little bit at the top. Here it is right there. I probably need to put myself back on camera. Moved it to show you guys the devices. But those are 2 things that I think are pretty interesting right now. And I just bought a 3D printer, an Ender 3. And I'm hoping that that's going to help me build the right pieces to funnel my fan through into my egg so I can get the temperatures I want and control that airflow exactly the way that I want over a long period of time. And also record it and make graphs and fun things like that. Yeah. I'm sorry, I am a nerd.
No, that's fine. That's what we're here for. I am just going to interrupt real quick. I just threw my steaks on the grill. I am doing an offset cook because they are getting their hours thinner. I'm trying to not overcook them while we converse here, but I also want them to, you know, be delicious. So mine are now on the grill. We're going to do a few minutes, flip them, a few minutes again. We'll just keep checking them. So with that Raspberry Pi, now in the past, I have had grandiose dreams of building my own large smokers and doing those automation pieces where you can set the temperature, it opens and closes the vents, it can blow air at the firebox to get the temperature up. And obviously, like, there's electric smokers out there that will feed pellets and maintain that temperature. So when it comes to that Raspberry Pi piece you were talking about, what are some of the, you know, we're data center folks, we're technologists, we like automation, we like making things better. What are some of those pieces that go into that, with some of that mechanical engineering and some of that programming that goes into making that happen?
Well, the things that I think are critical for it is really having the probe for the dome go into the machine so you can actually measure what the temperature is that you're cooking, as well as a probe that goes into the meat so you can measure the temperature of the meat. And then the mechanical pieces are really not really that difficult. I've seen a couple of different options that I think I could adapt for the top vent. The bottom vent, I think, is probably really just going to be wide open. I'll take the vent off that's there and then allow either the fan to be running or not running and control it more with the top. So it'll be a wheeled mechanism that opens it and closes it. So it'll be a rod that goes in like this, and it'll spin the wheel and open up and have more air or less airflow through it. But the 3D printer, I'm hoping, is going to help me build the appropriate attachments down here, because it's still warm down here. It'll burn you. If you get too close to it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is with trying to do something like this, it's definitely more homegrown. There's not a kit out there, at least that I'm aware of, to convert these smokers into something where it's fully not autonomous, but automated by a computer. So.
Yeah, I think it's a fun project, something just interesting to work on, and you know the kit here has a breadboard as well as you know, your CPU memory and a little bit of storage. So this one is designed for this kind of home project. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip these guys.
I'm doing the exact same thing. Perfect timing.
Oh, look at that smoke come out. Oh, with a big green egg, one of the important things to do when you go to open it is you burp it. You burp an egg before you open it. Otherwise, you may lose the hair on your arms.
Oh, that's not fun.
No, it'll jump some fire right out at you. And these are looking pretty good. I got a little bit of char marks on them. You can feel them stiffen up a little bit, not nearly as flimsy as when they were raw. And turning them over looks like we're about at the right spot.
Excellent.
So that's going awesome.
Now, again, when it comes to grilling, I'm a big proponent of the Weber. I'm just old school, if you want to call it that. I use charcoal. I'll do the chimney to light it up. And when I smoke, I am a manual smoker. I sit with it all day, not all night, but I sit all day. I'll feed it. I'll maintain the temperature, keep an eye on it. And I actually, going back a little bit into the technology piece, I did just acquire a Bluetooth thermometer for the meat that has probes. Obviously, you can leave inside the smoker. And I'm sitting, you guys can see behind me here, my picnic table area out on my patio. My smoker's right over there. But, in the hot day sun, just sit back, enjoy a nice beverage, and just check that temperature. And again, that graph output, that's kind of fun. That stuff's nice. But I definitely, outside of that, I'm pretty old school when it comes to my smoking. And I've looked at stuff like the Big Green Egg and a few of the other smokers out there, and they don't appeal to me. I'm just kind of curious why you went that route.
I've had mine for probably a little more than a decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I went for the gas, the grill before this, and it was great for convenient when the kids were small. But once the kids got to be older and you had a little more time to invest, in the green egg. The reason I went with the green egg really is twofold. One, it is both a smoker and a grill. And two, it had a great reputation and a great community around it. And, you know, you have people that are really into using the, it just was a lot of fun to engage in it. I don't see anything wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not a snob about a Weber or a Traeger or whatever you want to use to cook your barbecue. It's all good with me.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy the process of the egg. I like what you talk about, getting out your chimney, pouring in your charcoal, getting it all started up and going. I mean, that's part of the fun, right? You know, you crack your beer and you go outside, you fill up the chimney, put a little paper in the bottom, and you watch the fire raise up through it, and you know, you start getting your ritual of actually making the food that you enjoy, and that's fun.
Right. Oh yeah, and for me, I said, you know, to a few of my friends, I'm by no means a snob when it comes to like, oh, you have to do charcoal and hardwood. That's just the way I prefer. I've had delicious smoked foods off of propane smokers, off of it is what it is. It's just a matter of how much time you have to dedicate to the craft, or are you looking for that delicious quality of meat, but you know, you just want to be able to set it and then do other things. But you know, so when my friends talk to me, sorry, my earpiece here. When my friends talk to me, one of my good buddies has an electric smoker, and he has said, you know, he's like, oh, I put in a brisket for 24 hours. How can you sit here and do that? And for me, smoking and like grilling, it's a little bit of an escape outside of, you know, using all the tech here to do. I keep glancing down at the screen to make sure everything's good with the lighting, but it's a little bit of an escape to get away from the world. Especially getting out the smoker, I can spend an entire day, like from sun up till sundown, tending to that. That's where my mind's at. It's relaxing. I'm not on social media. I'm not reading email. I'm not, you know, working on, say, editing a video or writing a blog post. That's the day. So that's actually what I kind of really enjoy about the older style of, you know, having to maintain that heat. That being said, when I do a large, like I say, a brisket, the oven is involved for some like pre-work or like a bigger cut of meat. I'm not gonna sit out here with this thing for 24 hours. Like some of, you know, you can do with the electric or the gas ones. So I'm not above cutting corners either. But for me, it's an escape that provides a delicious result.
I agree. I mean, it's a fun thing to do that produces good eats, and who doesn't want good eats? Good eats are awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I love to eat, and I love to eat good food. Let's see, let's rotate these guys. Oh yeah, they're getting a little firm, doing pretty good just off to the side here. Looking good. Seasoning, I don't need to add any. No, we're good there. Now, you and I, like, you know, when we said at the start of the episode here, we work together. We're data center SEs. What do you think of the role that cloud is going to play into where you and I have historically been for the last 10, 15 years? Where do you see cloud? How is that going to change where you and I are at with our careers and with technology in 5 or 10 years?
Well, I don't think it's going to be as quick as some people think. I've watched a lot of technology trends over the last, 25 plus years. And I think it's going to take longer. One is because moving to the cloud without transformation is just cost prohibitive. It just doesn't work.
Right.
You got to transform your applications. But as applications move to the cloud, they are more efficient, they are more agile, and they do cost less to maintain and customize. But if you're trying to take a application that has 30 years of coding behind it and take it to the cloud, it takes a little bit of effort to make all that happen. And I think that's a larger bite than most companies are really ready to take right now. They will get there, but I'm thinking it's more of like a 10 to 15 year horizon than a 5-year horizon. So I see us seeing some big changes in the next couple of years because of what I'm going to call an awakening from the pandemic. The pandemic, I think, has awakened people to how much more they can do in the cloud and how the cloud can be leveraged to make their business more efficient, more effective. And that awakening is going to cause an acceleration, but I think there's still going to be quite a few large corporations and small corporations that stay with their on-premise technology and just continue to use it. Right? When I was at Anheuser-Busch, we had IBM technology that was 30 years old that was still running plants.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we still encounter that in our day-to-day now, where you've got mainframe out there, you've got in-house applications that have been written by an employee who left the company 10 years ago that they still use, and it's business critical. Some of that stuff you may never even be able to move up into the cloud. That being said, do you think, a lot of people like to joke that IT is circular, that mainframe to servers to virtualization to cloud, we're going to end up back into, maybe not mainframes, but back in the data center? Do you foresee that happening, or do you foresee companies and technology evolving to make the cloud a little bit more affordable for the IT department and to make it easier to get into?
I think it will be easier to get into, but I think it'll be startup companies, new companies that use the cloud exclusively. I think the established companies are going to be the ones that lag behind. I do think that there will always be new technologies that come out that break down barriers to entry, because that's really what we're talking about, is a barrier to entry, right? If you break down that barrier to entry, people will start using it. And I think that's a good thing. As far as the circular part of IT, that makes a lot of sense to me, because when I started in IT, we were all mainframes and minis. And then we talked about, we have to distribute. And we moved all of our compute to the edge and had much less power at the core. But now the servers and PCs got so powerful that all of that technology moved towards the center again. But now with mobile phones, you see it more moving towards the edge again. So I think that that contraction and expansion will continue in IT as we see things move towards the core of centralized computing and then back towards the edge for distributed computing. Will we ever go back to a mainframe? What is containers? It's kind of like a mainframe, right? You got a bunch of technology and you take little slices of it and you give it out to whoever needs it. Real quick here, my steaks are actually getting pretty close to done here. How about you? How much time do you think you have left? Yours are getting done? Let's take
a quick look.
Okay. Oh, there's still some pretty good moisture coming out of them.
Okay.
I think I probably got another 5 minutes, maybe.
Oh.
Not much longer than that. How about yours? What do you think you got left?
Oh, that's something.
I'm going to shut down all of my vents and start letting it cool down.
Sorry about that, everybody. A little bit of technical difficulties. That might be a real hard, weird edit there. My microphone and headphones here just went to speaker for some awful reason. So sorry about that. I thought there was somebody in my yard for a second. I'm like, who's heck talking to me from behind? But no, 5 minutes again. We don't want our food to be burnt. We want it to be delicious, and we don't want to make sure that our time doesn't run too long. How about these guys? What do you think? Can you see them?
Those look great. I'm loving those. All right, I'm going to run inside and grab a plate and something special. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, well,
we can talk on the way.
Well, I can talk to the audience while you're grabbing whatever you're going to have to grab. This would be a good time to say, if anybody wants to join on an episode, I'm open to talking about any kind of technologies. Obviously, like we talked to Tim Davis previously, just kind of about tech and cloud and data center and COVID, and just kind of a loose conversation and really heavy on the grilling side. And I'm talking here with Scott with technologies around grilling. And I am looking to do, I got specific episodes that I've got planned coming up that the technologies, like the conversation be very pointed on a very specific vendor and a specific technology, looking a little bit more modern. But again, any kind of conversations. If you want to grill and you want to talk tech, go ahead and reach out to me on Twitter, ExploreVM. You can email me, paul@explorevm.com. You can visit the website, ExploreVM, as well as find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. And I would be glad to have anybody on. All you need is your webcam you've all probably been using for Zoom and WebEx calls for the last 5 months anyways, and a grill. So.
All right, Paul, we have here another St. Louis delicacy. It's called the gooey butter cake. I'm not going to attempt to tell you how it's created, but it's a really dense, wonderful tasting, more like a brownie, but it's very sweet. It's got kind of a brown crust stuff. You can see that at the bottom. And this was invented here in St. Louis. It's another thing that you won't find outside of St. Louis. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, that's just not fair that we all can't share in that. So.
I'm sorry that I can't give you some, because I would love to share it with you, because it is really, really good.
And those who've tuned into the show previously, this was actually, the original idea was when we'd be on site traveling. So when you and I go to our corporate kickoff, we're going to find a place to rent a grill or buy a grill and give it to somebody down there. Or we would go out and we would find, when I'm at a conference and speaking at a conference, just let's all jump in and let's do a tailgate and let's talk tech and film it. So in the future, when we can travel again, I will be down there. I will come to your house specifically for that cake.
We're going to have some for sure. And I'm taking the steaks off now, and they look fantastic. They got a little bit of char on them, a little bit of piece that you can see on here, and you can just tell they're juicy and flavorful. Take a look at those bad boys.
Oh,
that's pretty good to me. Closing this grill because it's smoking me out. So I think we have achieved what we set out to do here, Paul. What do you think?
All right. Well, you've got your steaks off your grill. I'm not going to keep you from your dinner. Mine are over my shoulder here waiting for me to dive in. So first of all, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate being guest number 2 on the Blocks and Bites show. Where can our viewers, I almost said listeners because I'm used to doing the podcast, where can our viewers find you on the internet?
Well, I actually have a not tech-related website. I am craftedpixelstudios.com, and you can get me at scott@craftedpixelstudios.com, or you can find me at Scott Smallie on Twitter. I'm there as well. So craftedpixelstudios.com.
Excellent. We'll be sure to link that in the show notes and on the website. And once again, sir, I want to thank you. I appreciate the time, and thank you for the new meat selection. I'll report back on my findings on how it turns out, and thank you.
Hey, Paul, it was awesome. I really had a great time. Let's do it again. Can't wait to see you in person. Enjoy.
Sounds good. Have a good evening.